Hey, what's up, everybody? Okay, listen, if you want to transition out of the corporate space and become a speaker, trainer, coach, consultant, you want to be somebody who can turn your expertise into an enterprise, then you got to become the brand and stop hiding behind one, right? We have got to become the brand. And I think for me, that's one of the biggest lessons that I learned when I was beginning my transition out of corporate into this whole idea of entrepreneurship. And to this day, it is the thing, becoming the brand is the thing that really had my business take off. So I wanted to talk to you all about that today because I know it can be scary. And also, it's like, what do I do? How do I become the brand? Especially if you have been in the corporate space for a long time, we are used to being behind somebody else's brand, right? Behind our workplace's brand. If we are someone who is in leadership and really has a high, like your title is a big title, then you're usually somebody who has to speak for the brand, or you have to show up as that brand and not as your brand. We're always having to put ourselves on the back burner. But as you decide that you want to transition out into entrepreneurship, then you have got to make the shift. And believe me, it's not easy and people won't like it, but it's something that you're going to have to do. So before I go any further, who am I and why should you listen to me? I am Kelly Charles Collins. I am so glad that you are here. I am affectionately known as the Speaker Mogul, and I retired from the practice of law at the end of 2019 to become a full-time entrepreneur. This year will be the 30th year, my 30th anniversary of being sworn in as a lawyer in the state of Florida. I always call it the wild, wild South. It's where I started practicing law and tried, cases in federal and state court, before administrative agencies, all the things, and really learned how to communicate effectively in high stakes arenas, and also worked as an educator, mediator, arbitrator, all the things. But now I work with powerful women, brilliant women who want to ensure that they're not just using what they know and their expertise to make other people money, but they want to turn their expertise into an enterprise. And unlike some coaches or mentors, I am more of a strategist, and I work with my clients around their positioning, their packaging, and their pricing. Often we focus on the end goal, which is to get on stages, which is to get these 5 and 6 figure contracts. And yes, that's what we want to do. But in order to do that, and to do that on a consistent basis, to sustain that, hey there, hey Cassandra, in order to do that on a consistent basis, you have to be positioned properly. You have to be positioned powerfully. And so that's why I'm saying you have to become the brand, right? We are high achievers. The women who I work with are high achievers. So I'm talking about lawyers, doctors, whether it's PhD doctor or medical doctor, accountants, you know, any HR professionals. Just think of the gamut of brilliant women and what we do out here in these corporate spaces. Those are the women I work with, which means that you have a lot of expertise. You have probably decades of expertise, but you have been leveraging that expertise for other people. You have been making money for the business that you work for and having that title, and you have to lean into that title. And I know that because when I was practicing law, that's what happened to me, right? I had to lean into the title of being lawyer for that particular firm and doing what I needed to do in order to brand that firm, right? It wasn't about branding me until the end of 2017 when I decided that I wanted to transition out of the practice of law because I started to feel that there had to be something more. I just wanted to do more. And that came from watching medical doctors who were expert witnesses in our case make millions from what they knew instead of what they do. And that put me on a path of figuring out how can I leverage my expertise and turn my expertise into an enterprise as they had been doing, right? And so that's what got me started on this journey of thinking about how do I transition out of the corporate space, the lawyer corporate space, into entrepreneurship as a professional speaker, and what did I want to do? And I have to say that in the beginning, when I was thinking about it, I kept thinking, oh, I want to do HR consulting. That's what I knew, right? That's what I knew in terms of how I could make like a straight transition. And one day I decided to map out. My sister told me to map out what that looks like because I was like, I gotta recoup this salary if I'm gonna leave here. I always call it the good check. And I mapped out exactly what it would take to be an HR consultant. And I was going to brand myself that way. I was telling everybody that I wanted to be, like mobile general counsel. I wanted to do all these things. And I mapped out what that looked like. And when I mapped it out, what I realized was that I was building myself into another job. I wasn't branding myself as the expert that I was thinking that I wanted to be from what I had seen through these medical experts. I was just creating a whole new job, and I was just taking all of the stuff that I already knew over here, and I was taking it over here to do it again. Just, outside of the practice of that firm. And I had to really sit down and think about what does it look like when I say that there's got to be more. When I say that I want to do something different, when I said that I wanted to create an impact and use my voice in a different way, it wasn't that. It just was not that. And so I had to really understand that the shift that I needed to make was that I needed to become a brand of my own. I needed to not be just, transitioning my legal skills into another legal thing, because that's not what I wanted to do. That is not the vision that I had seen. That's not what I saw when I saw that doctor, the medical doctor, telling me that he had made $3 to $4 million over the past few years, just, using his brain. And so I had to really start thinking about that. And I started thinking that it's not that I don't want to do those things. I was comfortable, right? I was thinking about, oh, that's the easy way. That's the easy transition, the one-to-one transition. So I had to think about how could I leverage my skills in a different way. And I started looking at what that would look like. I started creating the vision around that. So if you are someone who is thinking you're in the corporate space, I know Things are a little shaky these days in corporate spaces, especially for Black women. And if you're thinking like there has to be a better way, there has to be more than this. I want to go out and create an impact. I want to start to design and develop my legacy. What does that look like? One of the first things that you're going to have to do is to create the vision. And like me, the vision you may have a vision. And I'm going to tell you, if you have a vision, you think that that's the thing that you want to do what I did. Map it out, because when you map it out, you'll probably find, right, that what you initially thought is not the thing that you want to do. Because after I mapped out that vision, honey, I tore that paper up. I was like, I don't want to do any of this shit. I tore that paper up because I realized that I was like literally writing myself into a job, literally writing myself into the opposite of what I said I wanted, which was freedom. The reason that I wanted to go into entrepreneurship is freedom to use my voice, freedom to use my brain, freedom to do the things that I want to do, freedom to create the impact that I want to create for the people that I want to create it for in the way that I want to create it. And when I mapped that vision out originally, I realized that the thing that I had been going around saying that this is what I want to do is not the thing that I wanted to do. It is the furthest thing from what I wanted to do. So what I'm going to say to you is that if you are in this space and you're even, thinking about it, you got to map the vision so that you can see really clearly whether or not that is the thing that you want to do. And it's going to be scary, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to be easy to sit in the comfort of what you already know. But what I want you to understand and trust is that you are brilliant. Your expertise has value. You've been using that expertise to manage people, to make other people money. When I was in that firm, I made them over almost $1 million, right? In the time that I was there, with my brain, with what I was doing. So there's no reason that I couldn't come out and, figure out how to do that on my own. So the first thing you have to do, again, is to create that vision and really understand what that means for you. And I mean the vision for your life and the vision for your profession, whatever that profession is going to be. And think about how can you leverage your profession to pursue your purpose. Many of us come out into this space of entrepreneurship, especially as speakers, trainers, coaches, and consultants, because we have a desire to live into our purpose. And what I know about myself is that my purpose is to be the light for others to stand in their greatness. And when I created that map of what it looked like to be, outside HR counsel, that ain't it. It wasn't it. Right? So I want you to think about that. And I want you to really start leaning into what does this life look like? And don't be afraid, because I know that, in corporate, when we're doing our work and we're like, oh, I can't do this while I'm here. Well, you got to do it before you leave. You got to create that vision before you leave. And you have to start executing on that vision before you leave. Because one, you don't know when the day is that you're going to leave. When I was thinking about leaving, I had a date in mind. I had a whole thought about when it is that I was going to leave. And guess what? They had a different vision. They didn't like it. They didn't like what I was doing. They didn't like that I was branding myself, right? They didn't like that they could see that there was like some separation. And so they started to plan my exit. And they exited me in October of 2019. Well, that's when they told me my official end date was December 31st. But I had been planning to leave in August of 2020. So if I had not started doing the things that I needed to do, like creating the vision and really understanding what that meant, and going out and doing the things to start executing on that vision, then when they decided it was time for me to go, which was 11 months ahead of what I wanted to do, I would have been in real trouble, right? So one, create the vision. Two, once you create the vision, then you need to start executing on that vision. So, and you know how they say, write the vision and make it plain? Like, make it very, very plain and specific about what it is that you want to do, so that you can figure out, like, you can reverse engineer and figure out, what do you need? Who do you need to help you to execute on that vision, and when? Right? So one of the things that I did was, when I decided that I wanted to become a professional speaker, I was like, okay, what does that look like? I don't need anyone to teach me how to speak, right? And most of my clients, when I work with them, I don't have to teach them how to speak. Y'all know how to speak. What you need is help with organizing your skill sets and your expertise to turn it into products and services that you can profit from, right? And so when I knew that about myself, I knew that I didn't need that. I needed to understand the business of speaking. And so I started thinking about, what are the things that I wanted to do. One, I wanted to become a professional speaker, right? I was already speaking as a lawyer, trying cases, doing all the things, teaching, mediating, arbitrate, all this stuff. So but I wanted to be able to be paid for that separately, speaking separately from my salary as a lawyer. Okay, so that was one thing. Two, I wanted to write a book, because I knew that writing a book would add some, flavor and status, right, to me. Again, remember, thinking about, how do you turn your expertise into an enterprise? So not just doing one thing. So I decided that I wanted to write a book. Third thing that I decided that I wanted to do is that I wanted to deliver a TEDx. Okay. So now this is end of 2017, coming into 2018, and I'm like, okay, I got to get this done. Now, at 2018, when I started on this journey, originally, my transition plan was like a 4-year transition plan. I wanted to transition in 2022. And then and I'll talk about mentors, but I hired a mentor, and he was like, that's too long. That's too long. What are you waiting for? And so that's how we came to 2020. So we have 2018. We're at the beginning of 2018. I want to become a professional speaker. I want to write a book, and I want to deliver my TEDx. I haven't done any of these things, right? But that was the vision. So I created that vision. Now I had to figure out, how do I get there? How do I get there? See, many of you, we think about these things, and, like, I know y'all love a vision board. I know y'all do. I know y'all love a vision board. The thing about a vision board is that we cut out things, and we write things, and we put it on the board, and we think it's going to happen just because we put it there. No, we got to do the work, right? So when I thought about the fact that I wanted to be a professional speaker, and I wanted to write a book, and I wanted to deliver a TEDx, I had to do the work. And I had to figure out, how do I do that? Because it's things that I had not done before, right? So so in terms of, like, the professional speaking, I found an association. They had like an academy, and I joined the academy because I wanted to learn the business of speaking. So that's one thing that I did, right? So figure out if they're, what you need to do, right? So one thing was, I found that association so that I could figure out, well, what's really happening in this speaking industry? Like, what's happening in this world? Because I had been in the legal world. I had not been in that world. So I wanted to understand what was going on. Second, I decided that I wanted to write a book. So I started telling people that I wanted to write this book. And I had to think about, well, where's this book coming from? Because you're practicing law over here, and now all of a sudden you want to write a book. So what I did was, I had been training on, lots of things while I was practicing. But one of the things that I had trained on multiple times, right, and had spoken at, big conferences around, was how to investigating HR claims, right? Workplace investigations. That was part of my job as an employment lawyer. I investigated these claims. I tried the cases. I knew how to do that, like, like the back of my hand. Anytime, anywhere you want to investigate something, I know how to do it. And when I had been doing these trainings, then I would always get these questions. Like, afterwards, people would ask me questions, ask me different questions. And I was like, whoa, why don't I just take that training and turn that training into a book? I say this to you because there are a lot of you out there who doing trainings, have been doing trainings on different things, have areas of expertise, and you see people writing books and you're like, oh, I would love to write a book, but I don't know what to write a book on. Take that PowerPoint and turn it into a book. My very first book, Ace Your Workplace Investigations, came from my PowerPoint presentation. I went through my PowerPoint presentation, plus obviously the skills that I had, right, in 2 decades as a lawyer and as an employment lawyer. But I went through that PowerPoint presentation, and that's how I started to map out, and this was before AI, right? I started to map out or before ChatGPT, I started to map out the book, right? What is the journey that everyone has to go on in order to actually effectively investigate these claims. So for you, I want you to look at a presentation that you may have, and I want you to think about how could you turn that, if that's the thing that you want, one of the things you want to be known for, how can you turn that into a book? And a book does not, like in lawyers, we have like these treatises, which are, hundreds and hundreds of pages, or it doesn't have to be huge. Your book could be 60 pages. Your book could be 100 pages. I have a book. I don't know if you can see it. It's back there, the little book. That book is like 32 pages. It's called a mini book. And I've sold over 1,000 copies of those things, right? So it does not have to be huge. You just need to take your expertise and figure out, how do I distill that into a book? Now, I had never written a book before, but I started writing the book. And then I reached out to my network to say, hey, I need somebody to edit this book. And they found me somebody who had worked for one of the big publishing houses. And she edited my book. And when I sent her the book, I was so excited, y'all. I was so excited because I was like, ooh, I wrote my book and this book is so good and it's done. And I sent that book to her. She was like, she's like, there's so much more that needs to be in this book. And what was great about her was that she did not know my topic. So this was good because it was somebody who could not read into the things, right? Could not be like, okay, they couldn't fill in the gaps. And so it's really great to have her as the person who read that first draft of my the manuscript to say, Kelly, no, we got to really do this. We got to fill this in. We got to put this here. We got to put that there. And so that was my first book, right? So I ended up adding so many different things, and I'm glad that she told me that, because I was really able to build out that book. But it started with my PowerPoint. This is one of the things when you're thinking about becoming the brand, you got to think about sharing your thought leadership. You got to think about sharing your gifts and how you can do that. And a book is one easy way to do that. And, some people write their books because they want to be bestsellers. I have never written a book because I want to be a bestseller. If that happens, great, I'll take it. But I generally write my books because I want to take my knowledge and distill it and put it into something that's going to be around and that people can use, right? And that I can give away. So when I'm, out speaking, I give my books away. I'm going to be speaking at HR Florida in the next couple of weeks, and they've bought my books, right? So they have the books there for people to be able to purchase the books. That first book that I wrote, that I don't really talk about it anymore, it's called Ace Your Workplace Investigations. But if you do HR investigations, you should get it. It's on Amazon. And I was chatting with one of the a friend of mine, Jennifer Currens, who is actually going to be moderating the panel I'll be on at HR Florida. And she has the book. And she just told me yesterday, she was like, she used that book when she had investigations coming up. And so that's another way to become the brand. Brand your thought leadership. And you can do that even if you're not ready to write a book. You can still be branding your thought leadership on social media. You can brand your thought leadership on LinkedIn. That's the best place, right? If you're thinking about being a thought leader and becoming a brand around your expertise, you need to show up on LinkedIn. So make sure that you're on there talking about, you leveraging your thought leadership on there. And yes, do this even when you're in corporate. And I'm telling you that people are not going to be happy about it. And what you have to do is you're going to have to block some people, right? I had my bosses scrolling trolling my social media and commenting on it, sending me texts, not commenting on the page, but like sending me text messages and questioning me about my social media to the point that I had to block them, right? My mentor told me at the time, she was like, give me your phone, let me show you. And she was like, just block them. So what you can't do is allow them to shut you down, because when they're ready to get rid of you, like they were ready to get rid of me, they don't care that they've shut down everything that you've been doing. And now you're out here like barefaced, like, what am I doing? So you have to, if you have this vision and this is something that you want to do, you have to keep going. So I wrote the book. I had to learn all the things about writing a book. I did not know anything about writing a book. I did research, right? I researched what's the front matter, what's the back matter, what's supposed to be in it, how many pages, how many words should this be, right? Then I went out and figured out how to I found an online company to design the book cover. And then I didn't know, oh, you got to have the book formatted. Oh, okay. So I had to go figure out what that meant. And I had to, get it edited again. And then it was formatted. And oh, wait, we got to format differently because it's like, it's going to be, an ebook versus a paperback book. And what? And at the time, I forget the name of the company that I used. It wasn't KDP, it was another company that I used. But the book is on Amazon, right? So I had to learn all of those different things. And I wrote an article about it, a post about it, like when I first did it, and talking about that for that book, it takes a village. And it really did take a village for me to get that book published. So I wanted to get the book published. Remember, we're talking about 2017, 2018. That book was not written in 2017. It was an idea. By August of 2018, that book was written and published. Okay, so that was one thing. The other thing I told you is that I wanted to be a professional speaker. By October 22nd of 2018, I was a professional speaker. I had gotten my first paid speaking engagement. The next thing that I told you I wanted to do is that I wanted to be a TEDx speaker. Now, I don't know where that came from. I just saw it and I was like, oh, I want to do it. This is how a lot of things happen in my life, that I just decide, I see it. If I can envision it, I can replicate it. And I decided I want to be a TEDx speaker. In that moment, there was a woman who came up on Facebook. And she, when you say stuff around these computers and stuff shows up, right? So she showed up saying that she was herself a TEDx and a TED speaker, and that she coached TEDx speakers. So I was like, okay, let me get on this Zoom with her. I got on that Zoom with her. It was supposed to be like an hour. She lived in Japan, and I was here in Florida, and it was supposed to be an hour. 5 hours later, I am still sitting on that Zoom with this lady. I cannot get off the Zoom. Like, I'm like, you have to work in the morning. You need to go to bed. But I just could not get off of this Zoom with this woman. So I eventually hired her to be my TEDx coach. And we worked and worked and worked. And she and I developed my pitch, basically my application to TEDx. We applied to 2. I actually got selected for both. And then I decided that I only wanted to do one of them because they were like back to back, and it's a lot of work. And the reason I decided not to do both is because the second one wanted me to do a different topic than the first. And I already saw how much work it was going to be to do the one. Plus, I was still practicing law. I was still trying cases. I was still doing all those things. So I had to make a decision. I made the decision to just do the one TEDx. So we worked on that. A day and night. And I would go to work during the day. So I'm telling you this because I want you to understand that when you decide to make these transitions, it takes work. It takes commitment. It takes more than desire, right? And it takes action. You've got to believe that you can do this, and you need to take the necessary actions, and it may cause you to lose some sleep. I'm just telling you right now. I would go to work all day, and I would come home. I would get on the phone with her. We're in different time zones, so I would get on the phone with her, and I would be on there with her for hours, learning how to do a TEDx, because doing a TEDx, even though I'm a speaker, even though I was a lawyer, even all those things, I was a trainer, it is a totally different delivery, right? When you're doing a TEDx. And so she had to teach me that. So I had to learn that, and I had to practice over and over and over and over again. When I tell you, like over and over and over again, right? And so we did that. So we submitted in July. I got accepted. We started practicing, and I delivered that TEDx in November of 2018. So the three things that I said that I wanted to accomplish, right, in order to start branding myself as an expert, as a thought leader, as a professional speaker, I was able to accomplish. And I did all of it while I was still practicing law full time as a trial attorney. And the reason I keep emphasizing trial attorneys, because if you know anything about being a trial attorney, you know that's a lot of work. It means I was in court. It means I was trying cases. During this time, I was trying cases, still trying cases. West Palm Beach, St. Pete, I was still trying my cases. But I also had this desire. I was committed to it. I believed that I could do it, and I took the action. So by the time November of 2018 came around, right? So a full year before they told me that I was going to be fired, I had already accomplished the things that I knew that I wanted to do in order to start being and becoming the brand, as opposed to being behind their brand. So I want you to think about, what are the things that you need to do right now? What are the things that you need to do right now to become the brand? Is it writing a book? Is it doing a TEDx? And by the way, my TEDx ended up being an award-winning TEDx. So we won a Cicero Writing Award for my TEDx, and I think now it's probably at like 60,000 people have watched it, which is amazing. And it was elevated to the TED platform like shortly after it was released. So what is it that you need to do? Is it a TEDx? Is it a book? Is it starting a YouTube show, an online show? Is it a podcast? What is it? What is it that you need to do right now to start becoming the brand as you think about the transition from the corporate space? Or what is it that you need to do when you're already out? You've already decided to come out. You've already decided to do what you're doing, but you're not getting the traction. What is it that you need to do to become the brand, right? That people want to align themselves with. And when you start becoming the brand, you have to start speaking in your own voice. That's one of the things that like irked the crap out of them, was that I started to speak in my own voice about the things that mattered to me, the things that I cared about. And they felt that somehow that and me working with them and, working with the firm couldn't coexist. They could, right? But they didn't see it that way, because what they lost was control. And so I need you to understand that there's going to be some of that too. And it's going to be very scary. And you're going to have to tread lightly, because you don't want to just be all out there and lose your job if you really need it to help you invest and do what you need to do. Right. And so you have to think about what are those things, and you need to start doing it. And the other thing, the last thing that was instrumental. I mean, there's lots of things, but that I had to do in that transition. But one of the things that was like pivotal and really instrumental, and you've heard me say this as I've been talking to you, is about mentors. I hired mentors. I paid for them, right? Because though I am brilliant, I know that I'm brilliant. I know a lot of things, but I know that I don't know everything. And I know that in the spaces that I wanted to go into, that I needed people who were already doing that thing to help me, right? To show me the way to get there, right? To move beyond, some of the mistakes that they have made in order to help me to get there. Whether it's faster, whether it's better, whether it's less mistakes, however it is, right? Whether it's showing me a new way, to do the thing that it is that I was talking about when I was writing that first book. One of the things my mentor Libby at the time, we were, going back and forth about the name of the book, and I wanted to have a moniker, right? So my moniker is the Speaker Mogul, but at the time I wanted to be like the Queen of HR. She was like, "No, you will not be." Right? And so she was able to talk me through and explain to me why we're not doing that. And she really was able to explain to me this business. She'd been doing it for a long time. She's still doing it, still writing books. And just having people like that around you. And so because I had those people, I wanted to become that for other people, right? I had those people who took me by the hand, who really understood, who saw me, who really knew what it is that I wanted to do and helped me to figure out the way to do that. And so that's what I do for other women now. That's what I want to be. That's who I am for my clients, is the person who sees them and understands what it is that they're trying to do and helps them to strategize to get there, right? To understand that their expertise is valuable, to understand that just because somebody was paying you to do a thing that you were leveraging your knowledge to do doesn't mean that you have to keep doing the thing. You can use that knowledge and get paid for it. You can leverage that knowledge in different ways. And one of the things that I've learned about coming into this business is that we come out of corporate spaces, and in those corporate spaces, like, don't play with us, right? Don't talk crazy to me, right? I got my receipts. But then we come into this space of entrepreneurship and somehow we put those receipts under the mattress pad and forget about it. And we allow people to disregard who we are. We allow people to disregard the brilliance that we bring to the table. And so for me, what I realized is that when we transition out of the corporate space, many of us transition with our employee or talent mentality, meaning that we're the doers, we're the workers, right? And we forget or don't know that we're also running a business. And so therefore, yes, we are talent. We are the people who are delivering, but we're also business owners. And so as business owners, we have to understand the business of speaking. And so that's why I talk about turning your expertise into an enterprise, so that you understand that your expertise, you could use it to do so many things. You could do it to build, I make money from my books, right? There's so many things that you can create and so many things that you can do. And so one of the things I also realized was that in this industry, regardless of how brilliant you are and how brilliant we are, that people disrespect you, right? And don't want to pay you. And for me, what I feel and what I believe is that this industry is exploited, right? It exploits experts. It exploits particularly women experts, and even more specifically, Black and Brown women experts. And while the system is exploiting us, we are also complicit in that exploitation, because we are not doing the things, we are not getting in the rooms, we're not investing in the support and the mentorship and the coaching and the strategies to understand how to run these businesses, so that when we show up in these conversations, we show up in these conversations as the CEOs of business, as opposed to talent who just wants to be on stage. And so if we want to disrupt that, if we want to stop the exploitation, which I am on a mission to do, it may ruffle some feathers, but I'm good with that. We have to disrupt this industry, but we don't only have to disrupt it from the outside in, we have to disrupt it from the inside out. And when I say the inside out, I'm talking about us. I'm talking about you as an expert. I'm talking about you as a speaker, trainer, coach, and consultant. The disruption has to start within you. It has to start within you understanding that not only does the system exploit you, you're also exploiting yourself, because you are not doing the things that are necessary to invest in the infrastructure of building your business. So if you don't want to be that person, if you don't want to be complicit in your own exploitation, if you are tired of people just talking to you crazy and like, I don't have a budget. Oh, I didn't put that in my budget. Oh, can you do it for less? Or can you do it for exposure? Or all the things. Or you're in the corporate space and you're like, I'm ready to go, but I don't really know how this works. I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. Then I'm going to invite you to join me November 3rd through 5th in Atlanta for the Speaking Industry Expo. I built that just for you. It's the first ever trade show for speakers, trainers, coaches, and consultants. It is to help you get positioned powerfully, to understand how to price your services, not give them away. It's to understand how to package your expertise in a way that it's not just a one-trick pony. You don't always have to be waiting for permission and waiting for somebody else to create it. It's for you to understand that you can create your own economy, that what you know can sustain you and sustain your life and sustain your family if you position it the right way, if you package it the right way, if you price it the right way. But you got to know that you got to be in rooms. You have to be in rooms. You have to be around people who know how to do that and who care about you doing that. I know a lot of people tell you, I'll get you on 50 million stages in 30 days. I ain't doing that. I don't know how to do that because those stages belong to other people and those decisions are made by other people. So I'm not going to lie to you and guarantee you that you're going to be on anybody's stage unless it's mine. I've put women on stages. At the Speaking Industry Expo, I'll be putting women on my stage. That's the stage I can guarantee. But what I can tell you is that the frameworks and the strategies that I have developed based on my own experience work, and that my clients have leveraged it to get very high 4- and 5-figure contracts. But they got to do the work, right? So I teach them all the things and then they have to go do the work. And so when you come to the Speaking Industry Expo, we're going to do work. Right? Because I can't tell you that I want you to know the things and do the work and then not give you work. So it's going to be fun work though. We're going to be implementing when we're there. Right? So we have 3 days. One day is the mogul day. So I would say get the mogul day. And right now we're having a BOGO. Buy one, get one free through August 17th. So go to speakingindustryexpo.com/registration, get your ticket, right? Get your ticket and bring a friend. But we're going to have our mogul day, which is a private mastermind time with me. And then on day 2, we'll have our business incubator. This is where we're going to be learning and doing. So, as especially solopreneurs, a lot of us, we're working in our business every day. We're in the business. We don't necessarily get to work on our business. And so at the Speaking Industry Expo, we're going to be doing that. We're going to be working on your positioning and your marketing and your messaging and your sales and your back end systems. Our Go High Level is our presenting sponsor. They're going to do a whole training on your back end systems. So you want to be in the room. You got to get in these rooms. You cannot be afraid to invest in yourself. Many of you want to have 5-figure, 6-figure contracts, and you want somebody else to pay you that. You want somebody else to invest that in you, and you won't invest that in yourself. And guess what? The Speaking Industry Expo, it ain't even 4 figures. The tickets range from $275 to $950. And I was going to raise them, and I decided I'm not going to. So they are what they are. It's either $275 for one day, $500 for 2 days, $950 for 3 days. And if I promise you, like I know, if you get to spend 3 days with me, I will get you your whole life. I will get you your whole life. And right now it's buy one, get one free. So it's not even those amounts. Split the cost. And then there's a post that I did because I know y'all gonna be like, oh, but there's flights and there's hotels. I just did a whole graphic for y'all. Go look on my post somewhere. I just did a whole graphic of what it looks like. It's $2,000 or less right now if you get all of go get your flight, hotel, everything, ticket, all in. And it's even less now if you do a BOGO ticket. So It's up to you. I know what it takes. I've done this with my clients and I've done it myself, and I'm here to help you do it. So if you know that you need to be in the room, maybe if you're not going to be in the room, but you know somebody who needs to be in that room, then I need you to share this with them. Share this with them regardless of whether, you think that they should come to the Speaking Industry Expo. If you think that if you know somebody who is thinking about this transition and what it is they need to be thinking about, share this video with them, right? But also share the link. Be in the room, get in the room, invest in yourself. You cannot expect people to invest in you if you will not invest in yourself. You cannot ethically, right? Ask somebody to pay you $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 if you won't even spend less than $1,000 or $2,000 to invest in getting yourself together and positioning yourself powerfully to be that person that they want to invest that money in. So be in the room, get in the room. You have until, listen, it's not till November. You still have like 3 months, 2.5 months to get it together. Go pay for your ticket. There's payment plans. There's third-party funding. Do what you got to do. Go get and plane tickets, if you get them early, they're cheaper. So go get your plane ticket. The rooms, I'll tell you, the rooms, if you're there for for 3 nights, it's $500 and I think it's like $530 or $540 all in, right? For the 3 nights. If you're there for 4 nights, I think it's like $712 all in. If you don't think that you're worth that, plus the ticket, plus your, hotel and your flight and travel, then I don't know what to tell you. But you cannot, again, expect anyone else to do it for you. So speakingindustryexpo.com/registration. We have BOGO tickets right now through August 17th. Get your ticket. If you have any questions, if you watch this on replay, if you just want to know anything more about the event, go to the website, or you can DM me, or you could drop a comment wherever you're watching this. But I'm on here longer than I wanted to be on here, but I just need to give you all this because I know that the transition can be hard and you may not know somebody who has done it. So I wanted to share that with you. So if you have any questions, DM me, drop it in the chat. For those of you who've been joining me live, thank you so much. Let me go look over here on Instagram to see if, I don't even know if it shows me live on Instagram. I just wanted to see if there was any questions over here. I don't see anything on there. But if you, again, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments or DM me. Thank you all for joining me live. Tomorrow, Wednesday at noon, we will be doing Behind the Six. So sharing a little bit about what's going on behind the building of the Six, the Speaking Industry Expo. So you can join me again live tomorrow. Until next time, y'all, have a great day and take care.